Shalom and welcome to Jewish Life, the show about people and issues in Judaism and some secrets you missed out in Hebrew school. And I know one of those secrets. You think it's called spring cleaning. I got news for you. It's all about Passover. That's where they all got the idea. Everybody started getting ready for Passover and they would clean their homes. And everybody would see in the olden days they would take the pillows and the blankets and hang them up to air out. And they would wash away those earthy floors. And they would scrub the walls. And all the neighbors picked up. They liked the idea. How about it? My neighbor is getting ready for Passover and I'm going to do spring cleaning. What is Passover cleaning? I am pleased to have with me Rabbi Sholtiel Lebovic from a national organization called Go Kosher. Go Kosher, 1-800?
1-888.
1-888, Go Kosher. If you want to go kosher, you want Rabbi Lebovic. Rabbi Lebovic, thank you for coming. I know this is a busy time for you. Nevertheless, we are here to educate the public a little bit about the cleaning for Pesach, and I'm glad you're here to help. What are we cleaning?
Well, when it comes to Passover, when it comes to Pesach, we have to get rid of any leaven substance which may be found anywhere within the kitchen. Well, first, of course, we start with the products, with the we got to
distinguish. It's not spring cleaning now.
No.
It's Passover cleaning.
Right. What we are primarily concerned with is these food products, these wheat food products, which can find themselves mainly in the kitchen. So we get rid of all the, of course, as a takeoff of that, most of the Jewish balabastas already get more in, and they take care of all the cleaning. But our obligation is to get rid of.
In other words, you mean plain old dust?
Dust,
It's
grime.
not considered chametz, huh? But we still want to have a clean house.
Not by the strict letter of the law. In the spirit of the law, it is.
Okay.
And so we have to rid our domain of leavened products such as cereals, oats, bread, and all such products. And then we take it to another level. We're obligated by the Torah, actually, anything that we can reach, anything of substance that we can see or feel, we have to destroy. And that is the first step in cleaning for Passover. Then comes koshering. The next step is koshering, and that is that we are also obligated to, if there are utensils which have embedded in them the taste of chametz, if they were used, let's say, with heat and moisture, so then there was absorption of the taste of chametz, these items, if we want to use them for Passover or appliances, also have to undergo a kosherizing process.
Okay, let's start. We're going to walk into the kitchen, and my house is kosher. Everything is fine. I want to make it Passover kosher. Where do I start?
Okay.
First, I emptied out, like you said, I emptied out all the cabinets. There are no more crumbs, no more bread, no more cookies, no more cakes, none of that. Out.
Right. One thing I must mention is that everyone should remember to sell their chametz to a through a rabbi.
That is thanks for reminding us.
Why don't you tell us about it?
We should remember to sell chametz, and it has to be by a rabbi who knows how to do it properly, so you don't own any chametz. What are we selling? In other words, you may keep some chametz in a designated area, and you sell the actual food, even though it's in your house, but you sell it to a non-Jew who is allowed to
own it.
It belongs to him for a week, and you buy it back after Passover. So this is something which is extremely important. I appreciate that Rabbi Lebovic reminded us of it. You can probably go to every Chabad website, www.chabad.org, and you can get a sale of chametz form. Now, we took care of the selling of the chametz. We emptied out the food. We've washed out we vacuumed, whatever. No more crumbs. Next.
Okay. Now, probably what most concerned us would be the oven. If someone wants to use the oven for Pesach, this is the procedure. You have to spray it with Easy Off, or so. If that is too caustic for some people, you could use soap and water. But the interior of the oven has to be clean, and so do the racks have to be clean. There cannot be any spillage or any grease film on the walls.
So take any, whether it is chemical.
Better chemical, better if it is chemical.
And easy off is best because it really
or something
burns
of that.
it away.
Yeah, something of that nature. And then 24 hours should elapse. And then one may, once the oven is perfectly clean, and even with a toothpick.
24 hours elapse from when
after
you
you've cleaned it. After you've cleaned it.
Okay.
Then 24 hours should elapse, non-use, and then you should put it on the highest temperature for at least an hour and a half.
You're talking now about the baking oven.
Yes, the baking oven.
Okay.
And this is sufficient to kosher your oven for Pesach.
What will it do? What will this process do?
Basically, after we've cleaned it and 24 hours has elapsed, we can safely assume that any taste embedded within the walls of the oven has gone totally flat, and then we are ready to subject it to the koshering procedure. Basically, the basic principle in koshering, it's not really a mystical procedure, it's a technical procedure, and that is that if a given material will absorb and also expunge, and it did so under certain temperatures, so we subject it to the same amount of temperature for the same amount of time, basically, that it was used.
So we assume, for example, when we bake the cake, a taste of the cake has been absorbed by the walls of the oven.
Right.
And when I go through this process, I am expunging the oven from that taste.
Correct, and especially the racks, because the racks are an object which your utensil are going to touch, and we don't want things to be reabsorbed into our Pesach Dika utensils. So everything has to be a clean slate, and in this way there won't be any cross.
And washing enough is not good, because this was an oven.
And it absorbed under high heat, and in order to expunge it, the law is kibolo kach polto. In the same way that it absorbed, with that level of heat, we have to subject it to the same amount of heat and time, duration, in order for it to safely assume that it has expunged that which it has absorbed.
Okay.
That is as far as the oven goes.
Okay.
Then
the same thing I would say probably applies to any utensil that is used in an oven.
That is
correct. Let's say a rotisserie, what is it called, that you bake in.
The only thing is I wouldn't really highly recommend kosherizing such utensils for Passover.
Because they may not...
because you have to first clean it really properly. And then sometimes there's a lip on the outside of the utensil, grime gets in there, and unless you really burn that out with a torch, you cannot safely assume that you have expunged every iota of chametz or chametz taste.
Okay, so here we entered in another point, which is distinguishing between making things kosher
all
year round and Passover, which I think is important for people to understand here. You are talking now about one little tiny bit of chametz.
Yeah.
Year round, would it be the same?
It wouldn't be as strict, but in any case.
Why? Let us touch on that.
Because the Torah stipulates by chametz that even a mashu of chametz is forbidden.
Even anything.
Yes.
You cannot nullify chametz during Passover, even by 1,000 times over.
That is correct.
But the rest of the year, let's say you can. There is a process of nullification.
Yes, there are
60 times over.
Right. 60 times over usually will nullify most substances.
So in a case, let's say a drop of milk fell into a bowl of chicken soup, and there's 60 times the amount of that drop of milk.
Post facto, we can assume that it's been nullified, and it's a non-issue at that point.
It's a non-issue. Okay, that's important. But so therefore, for Passover, you don't like to clean certain things. So in the olden days, when they had no choice,
poverty forced them.
Right. But today it's a little different.
Yeah, I mean, most
you can
cases.
afford to buy really
I suggest that most people do have separate Passover utensils, and they should get them. It's a one-time investment, and that's the way to go. Although there are certain items that people still do kosher, such as silverware, nice silver, and the Kiddush cups and things like that, and that can be done with boiling water. Anyone can really do that.
Now you're telling us a new thing. There are certain things, like cutlery, Kiddush cups, or what? What else falls into that category?
Well, if someone has a real favorite pot, which is really clean, maybe has straight walls without any lips and crevices, that can also be koshered with boiling water.
So something you can really make it clean.
Mm-hmm.
The first condition is it has to be absolutely clean.
Absolutely clean, right.
Okay.
Remove
Nothing
handles,
left, not
remove...
a speck, not nothing.
Right.
Okay, that's a smart idea. Unscrew the handle.
Mm-hmm.
You wash the screw. You wash every ridge and every.
And sometimes maybe a small torch to get into crevices to burn anything of substance out. If you see it smoking till it finishes flaring up, that's a sign probably that it's
There's
gone.
nothing of
Right.
substance there.
Although that might discolor your object, so you have to weigh
You have to weigh what is worth it. And how do you make it kosher then?
Then you would immerse it in boiling water. You would take a pot, or buy a
Larger.
koshering pot, a larger pot, a koshering pot, and fill it up with boiling water. And if you need to kosher that pot, you would first let the water, you would bring it to a nice rolling boil, and then put something heavy inside so that the water overflows, so that it koshers the outside walls.
Including the lips and everything.
Yes, and then you would refill it with water, bring it to a boil, this time not necessarily as high, just as much water as you need to immerse your object. And then you would immerse the item you want to kosher into the boiling water for a few seconds.
You would take your forks and spoons.
Yeah, you drop them in.
Advisable, put it in a colander, I guess.
A colander if you have one,
yes.
yeah, if you have one, or otherwise with the tongs you can remove them. And then you put the object under cold water briefly, and that's the koshering procedure. And then you can use it for Pesach, or if it wasn't kosher, you can use it in a kosher situation.
All right, when we go into a kitchen, we have the oven, we have the utensils, and we have the pots and pans, but we have the rest of the kitchen, like counters, sinks, and refrigerators. We cleaned our oven. Wait, we didn't talk about the stovetop.
So if you have electric, all you have to do is make the coils glow red, and that is enough of a self-koshering procedure. The middle area, however, the area which is ceramic or a paint on steel, should preferably be covered, or at least first pour boiling water over it, clean it well, boiling water, and preferably actually to cover it with foil, because especially if it's ceramic, if it's a ceramic compound, it may be, in Jewish law, ceramics are treated more strictly than other materials in that they absorb and don't necessarily expunge. That would be the best thing. That is as far as electric goes. For gas, it's basically the same thing. It's self-koshering. One could put 3 layers of foil on top of the or maybe make a teepee on top of the grates, or make a teepee with all the grates. Poke some holes. That's important. And then let it go for 10-15 minutes. That would be enough to kosherize the grates.
So the grates become basically red hot?
Yeah, or close to it. Yeah, it may be hard to get them red hot all over, but if you put enough foil over it and poke holes, you will get them red hot most of the time. And if it's a glass top, basically there's not much you can do. It's not necessarily the best thing as far as Passover goes, but if you have it already, you basically put on each burner on high and let it go for about 10 minutes. And you should not put anything hot down on the areas around those burners on Pesach.
Only at the burner itself?
Only on the burner itself.
Okay, that's kind of touchy.
Well, yeah, and I don't think you should necessarily cover with foil around it. That's a bit of a fire hazard from what I understand.
And stovetops in general is something that you can buy. You can buy a stovetop by itself.
That's true. I forgot one thing before. Putting the oven through the self-clean cycle, if you have one.
Yes, self-clean is the best.
Definitely kosher it for Passover.
That goes like for 4 hours.
3, usually you have a choice of 2 to 3 hours, but yeah, 3
the
hours.
The idea is that the oven should get as hot as...
It's over 900 degrees, and nothing is of substance when the process is over. Everything, it's all reduced to ashes.
Nothing left. Okay, now we're going to the sinks.
Okay, as far as the sinks go, it's like this. Basically, the best thing is one should not use the sink, preferably with water for 24 hours, with hot water for 24 hours. If you can't abide by that, at least overnight, it should be clean. Leave it. Don't use it in the morning.
Don't use it with chametz products.
Right, with chametz, or with anything hot. It has to be unused. And then one should generously pour boiling water all over the sink area, preferably over something hot like a rock, holding a rock with the tongs and pouring the hot water over it. But if you can't do that, just...
Or a hot metal piece.
Or a hot metal piece, but be careful.
The idea is you want to have the boiling water actually boiling while
On
it
contact.
touches.
On contact, hotter than it was ever.
But we did have to clean it first.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
We have to clean the sink.
Nothing can be koshered if it's not clean first.
Okay, and we're talking about metal sinks only right now.
That is correct.
Stainless steel,
Thank
very
you.
important.
Thank you.
We take a stainless steel,
Clean
rub
it very
clean,
well.
steel wool, and whatever.
And preferably 24 hours should elapse. Then very generously pour boiling water all over the sink, down the drain, maybe a little ammonia or bleach down the drain, and that should finish the process for that.
Now the ammonia and the bleach, it's good to point out.
Not together, right?
Well, that's number one. Number two, when you put the stuff down the drain, the idea is if there will be a backup, and there is some chametz in the pipe down there, and it backs up, it may render your sink chametzdik. But when you put in the bleach,
you cancel any taste.
You render, not only, you make it poisonous.
Oh, okay, make it poisonous.
And once you make it poisonous, you can't eat it. It's not considered of any value, right? Okay, so we took care of the sinks. Now, the other types of sinks.
Plastic or ceramic or all those sinks are not kosherable for Pesach. One should clean them well with chemicals and then cover them or buy a sink special Passover sink insert.
They have special sinks that you insert, and
if you live in an area where you can get one, otherwise you can just cover with foil, aluminum foil, and.
So in other words, you don't want any of your pots to come in direct contact with the sink that was used all year round.
Correct.
So stainless steel we can clean. I know what I do. I clean the stainless steel and I put an insert in. I was very lucky because we had a hammer that broke and the whole top came off. It works very well. With the plier, you can hold the hammer. It's glowing red.
Oh, that's how you pour boiling water over that?
That's what I do.
A hammerhead, yeah.
I have my kids help me. Okay, now we have the counters left over.
Counters, basically, one should definitely clean, boiling water, and preferably cover, especially if they're going to be using hot things on the countertop. Also, if you have a stone countertop like granite, polished granite or polished marble, boiling water is enough to kosher it.
Okay, so this is the Passover process, and we are preparing for Passover. So all you out there, sweat away, scraping and scrubbing, and follow Rabbi Lebovic's instructions, and you will do it properly. And you will have a lot more enjoyable Passover afterwards. But let's go back. You do go kosher all year round.
Right.
What do you do? What is your role in all this?
Well, this is an organization.
I want to be kosher.
Okay. So then somehow you'll find us. We have small running classifieds year round in different papers. And
well, I'm watching the show.
Yeah, okay. You call us at 1-888-GO-KOSHER. I or one of my associates will take your call or get back to you and discuss your situation, and we'll try to ascertain where you are holding now vis-a-vis kashrut, what level of kashrus, if any, you have kept till now, and going from there, we'll give you some type of a consultation as to what to expect, what you may have to replace, what we may be able to salvage as far as rekoshering some of your items, how a typical kosher kitchen runs with the meat and the milk and the washing things separately, as far as dishwasher is concerned, as far as one oven, two ovens, or as far as using the same oven for both, with some provisions.
So we have to come back to a couple of Passover questions. You mentioned the dishwasher. The refrigerator we forgot to discuss.
The refrigerator is usually not an appliance that really has to be koshered, especially because everything is cold to cold.
So
cold to cold, there's no issue, but you have to clean it properly.
There's no absorption of taste.
Right. And also the things that you put in the fridge are usually not hot, so they're not going to absorb from there. But you must clean it properly. Remove any chametz, any crumbs, anything.
Simply physically wash it down
well. Wash it down well.
Good Windex and good fantastic.
Right. Now, as far as the dishwasher goes, generally speaking, the dishwasher...
But a lot of people do cover, like, the immediate area where they like to put a little silver foil or something.
Yeah, that's fine. But it's not necessarily halachically obligatory.
Okay.
Right.
How about a dishwasher?
A dishwasher generally is not to be koshered for Passover, and that is because there may be. It's hard to say that there are that there is totally no iota of chametz anywhere to be found in the dishwasher. Generally, and also because the racks are made out of plastic, which is also an iffy, kosherable material,
So
and
could I
especially
just,
by Passover.
change the racks?
Basically, if you have a stainless, I would say this: if one has a stainless steel interior, and they change the rack, then they really clean the filter out well to make sure there's nothing there, and then one could possibly kosherize it for Passover. But if it's made out of plastic, a plastic interior, I would say no.
Well, see, one of the reasons I wouldn't kosher, I use only paper plates and plastic on Passover. I'm embarrassed to say it, but my grandmother would whack me for it. Which brings us to dishes.
No, dishes.
We spoke about utensils.
Right,
what do we do with dishes?
Dishes you have
China, nice China set.
China cannot be koshered for Passover. China, you have to get separate China.
Forget
China
about
is a basically under most circumstances, is a non-kosherable material. You can't do anything with it.
What about glass?
Glass
Crystal.
You can kosher. And for cold drinking water, the general procedure is to soak it in tepid water, like in the bathtub, for 3 days, changing the water every 24 hours. And if it's glass that was used for heat, usually we do not kosher it for Passover.
So we can now have a very clean, pure Passover, and anybody out there who wants to be kosher year-round, you can become kosher. Rabbi Lebovic will explain to you the intricacies of kashrus, of keeping a kosher kitchen, of keeping kosher utensils, and of keeping kosher year-round. 888-GO-KOSHER is the number, and you will be on your road to kashrut. And for you out there getting ready for Passover, you want to have a Passover guide, you can go onto the website www.chabad.org, and you can get your Passover guide and learn everything about Passover. Also, every single caller to us will get the Haggadah Shel Pesach, the new revised edition by Rabbi Goldberg, Passover Haggadah, given to us by J. Levine and Company. J. Levine will also give away the Living Jewish Guide, the Living Jewish Guide for anybody who wants to know what's out there, either to shop for Passover or year-round, to enhance your Judaism, learn about Judaism and Judaica. J. Levine Judaica will send you that guide when you call. And for you out there, it is good to be kosher. Kosher is God's way. It's God's diet. And with God's diet, we will surely be healthy. Rabbi Lebovic, you are performing a wonderful service, and I thank you very much for taking some time out. I know you're going to be back on your knees, scrubbing away, burning those torches, and playing with hot water. But please be careful. And to you out there, get ready for Passover. You need some help? Give a call. It'll be out there. And until we meet again, hopefully with Mashiach, we wish you a kosher and happy Passover. Bracha v'atzlacha, and all the best.
Mashiach, Mashiach, Mashiach. Oy, 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 oy. 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 שישמח עם כל זה החכה לו בכל יום שיבוא. שישמח עם כל זה החכה לו בכל יום שיבוא. שיבוא, יבוא. אני מאמין